Welcome. Today, we're going way beyond just talking about one piece of software. We're going to map out the entire digital ecosystem your apparel factory needs to really compete. And this is especially for you if you're running an established factory and you're trying to figure out how to make that digital leap. Okay, so let's jump right in with a super common and honestly very costly mistake. A lot of factories, when they go to implement a manufacturing execution system, an MES, they treat it like it's this little project on its own, like it's an isolated island. And that right there, that thinking is where things start to go wrong. So here's the mindset shift we need to make. Your MES isn't an island. Think of it more like a commander on a battlefield. And what does a commander need? Well, they're pretty useless without intelligence, without clear orders, and without a steady supply of ammunition, right? This one analogy, it changes everything. So to help you build out this whole connected system, we've laid out a complete guide. First, we'll dig into why that island thinking fails. Then we'll meet the 5 core systems. We'll look at how they talk to each other, explore the different ways you can build this, lay out a practical roadmap, and then wrap up with the absolute keys to success. All right, first up, let's really get into why an isolated MES, our lonely commander, is basically set up to fail before you even get started. So just imagine that commander, your MES, standing on the shop floor. It can't just invent a plan out of thin air. It needs the blueprints to know exactly what it's supposed to be building. It needs the orders to know how many to make and when. And it needs the ammunition, the raw materials, to actually get the job done. Without that support network, it's completely flying blind. Okay, so if the MES is our commander, who else is on the team? Let's meet the whole digital command staff. The 5 core systems that have to work together to run a smart apparel factory. First up, you've got PLM, or Products Lifecycle Management. Think of this as your R&D headquarters. It's the single source of truth for your product blueprints, all the details on styles, the bills of materials, the exact sewing steps. And here's the thing, if this data is wrong, everything else that follows is going to be wrong too. Next, we have the ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning System. This is your central planning office, kind of like the general who gives the high-level orders. It handles the big picture stuff, buying materials, managing the finances, and even things like your piece rate payroll. It's what tells the factory what needs to get made. And of course, here's our commander on the ground, the MES. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the hub for everything happening on the shop floor. It takes those orders from the ERP and actually makes them happen, all while tracking work in progress, keeping an eye on the machines, and grabbing quality data in real time. Now, a commander is no good without ammunition, and that's where your WMS, or Warehouse Management System, comes in. This is your quartermaster, the logistics expert. It keeps track of every single roll of fabric, every box of buttons, using barcodes, tracking batches, and knowing exactly which bin everything is in. And finally, we know no factory is an island, right? Your SCM, or Supply Chain Management System, is your bridge to the outside world. It manages all the back and forth with your suppliers and any subcontractors you use, making sure everyone is on the same page. So we've met the whole team, but here's where the real magic happens. It's not about having these 5 systems. It's about connecting them. It's about building a data superhighway so they can all talk to each other and act like a single intelligent organism. And this here shows you that flow perfectly. You see, data starts at the PLM, the blueprints, but look really closely at that 2-way arrow between the ERP and the MES. That right there is the absolute heart of the entire operation. It's a constant conversation. The ERP sends orders down and the MES sends real-time updates back up. That feedback loop is what makes a factory truly smart. Okay, so you get the goal, but how do you actually go about building this thing? This isn't just about buying some software. You're making a huge strategic choice. And you basically have 3 ways you can go about it. Now, you could go out and buy the supposed best system for each job and then try to stitch them all together. But trust me, that can get really expensive and turn into a technical nightmare. Or you could try to make one giant ERP do everything. But really, for an established factory, especially one that's just starting this journey, Model 2, the integrated platform, is almost always the winner. It's built on a single data foundation, which means it costs less, it's way less complex, and most importantly, your data is always consistent. All right, so we know the what, an integrated platform, but the how is just as important. If you've been running your factory for 30 years, you can't just flip a switch overnight. You need a practical, step-by-step roadmap that builds success over time. And here's that 24-month journey. In the first 6 months, you do one thing. You focus on the foundation. You get your ERP up and running and you standardize all your master data. Then, in phase 2, you pilot the MES on just 1 or 2 production lines. You prove it works, you create that data feedback loop. And only then, in phase 3, do you roll it out to the whole factory and bring in the other systems like WMS and PLM. It's a simple crawl, walk, run approach. So, to bring this all home, let's talk about the absolute non-negotiables. If you only take away a few things from this, these 4 principles are what will make or break your entire digital transformation. First, your master data has to be clean. If your style codes and material lists are a mess, your fancy new system will be useless. It's the classic garbage in, garbage out. Second, choose that integrated platform we just talked about. Third, and this is a real game changer for apparel factories, you have to link your workers' piece rate wages directly to the data coming from the MES. When their paycheck depends on it, they won't just adopt the system, they will become its biggest champions. And finally, number 4, none of this works, none of it, without total, unwavering support from the top. Leadership has to be all in. So as you think about your own factory, the real question isn't if you need an MES. The question is, how are you going to build that smart, connected ecosystem around it? Taking a hard look at the systems you have now and the challenges you've already faced connecting them, well, that's the perfect first step on your journey from having a single, lonely commander to building a truly unstoppable digital enterprise.